gone straight to the camera screen. Hello and welcome to World Online Racing, and we are back for round 7 of this mystery season, which we can confirm we are heading over to the Temple of Speed in Monza. My name is Corey Brooks, one of your two commentators for this evening. Join with me, it's Nathan Richards. How are we doing, Nathan?
Hello. I'm doing well, very well, thank you, Corey. It's great to be back here in the commentary box for WOR. It's been quite a few rounds since I last made an appearance, and of course, unfortunately, Sappy received some terrible news, so he won't be here tonight. So we do wish Sappy well. But I've joined in last minute, and we're off to, for once, a nice track, one that we don't see often in the F124 game. But personally, I think it's one of the best on the calendar.
Absolutely, we get ourselves over to Monza in Italy, 5.793 kilometres with 11 turns in those two DRS zones, which certainly brings some spicy action, especially going into Sector 2. Ascari overtakes, dive bombs, late braking. Oh, I'm here to see it all, and I cannot wait to see what's going to happen here in what has been a bit of a unknown season so far. Drivers have just been chucked in at the last minute on the circuits. What do you feel about that, Nathan? It's been a bit of a wild card, an absolute wild card.
Yeah, and to be fair, I actually prefer it in a way. Obviously, it's nice to have a calendar preset and you kind of know what's coming up. But also, it's great to kind of throw the drivers in there without any practice and see what they can do. And you can kind of see who's better without needing that practice, because some drivers here, they have busy lives. They might only get an hour or two of practice in. Whereas some of them that might still be in the school, still might be in school or aren't working, might be able to do 3 or 4 hours a day. So with this, none of them get any practice, so we get to kind of see who's quicker on that raw pace and just being thrown into there with a lot of pressure. Because even though every driver knows every track on this game like the back of their hand, they're still going to be a little bit cautious, aren't they, going into a session kind of trying to find those limits again, because you need to be finding those tens of thousands of a second, and without practice, it's always hard to do so.
Absolutely. We're not going to keep you waiting any longer because we're going to get going into qualifying.
Indeed, and our first driver on a lap will be the Aston Martin of Diego Zorzo, heading down towards turn 1 at the Rettifilio chicane. Of course, Corey, I know that you like to do a bit of racing yourself. What are your thoughts on this Monza track as we just watched Diego head through that first sector?
I love it here. I've got to say, Monza is one of my favourite tracks for racing. Just the pure wheel-to-wheel action you can get through some of these corners, with how much you're on the throttle as well. ERS management is certainly a factor to play with. You need to be careful you don't burn too much battery, especially coming down that very long straight. You come out of Parabolica and it's just flat to the floor before you harsh on the brakes into that chicane, and then you're flat to the floor once again. So a lot of overtaking opportunities, great places to get some side-by-side action, and again, it is the temple of speed. You've got to love it here in Monza.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I still don't get why we don't see this track that much on the game. I've never seen that many leagues use this track, which is a shame, because it really does create some good overtaking, creates some good strategy. Of course, here, hard tyres are banned, so you're looking at soft mediums, maybe having to stretch to a 2-stop, depending on how that tyre wear is. So that will certainly throw a bit of a curveball into this one. But the first driver to cross the line will be Diego Zorzo in the Aston Martin. Let's see what he can do to start us off. 118.315. Then the next car will be JSD, oh no, sorry, Joel Marquardt, but he's heading back into the pits. And then we have Leo Lund going to the top there with a .251. And next across the line will be Zalambida. And then we will have as well, I think, Sergio Sobrino somewhere.
Riyad Sprogis down towards the line to start his lap. So I thought that would have been a time lap, but it's not. Other drivers coming down towards the line, so much just more like Cole Kenny coming out of Parabolica. Keaton Lott taking a provisional pole time so far, sitting third in the drivers' standings. But Rapassa's had a beautiful season so far. We saw it last week, taking another victory for Rapassa to extend that championship lead. But Cole Kenny, 19.1, the slowest of the lot so far.
Indeed, and we did see there as well, Gabor Jontos going up into P2, just 15 thousandths back from Keaton Lott at the top. So a very nice lap time there from Gabor. We have Rihard Sprogis as well on a lap at the moment. I'm not sure if he's going to be heading back into the pits or if this is a representative run, but we'll see very shortly. And there's still 6 people who haven't set laps or haven't even gone out to the pit lane yet in this session. Some of them like to leave it a little bit later before going out and getting their first lap times on the board. And I've got to notice as well a nice lap from Justin Aert, someone that we don't often see anywhere near the top 10, currently in 6th place. So a very nice lap from him. And let's see what Rehard can do. In the Red Bull, his teammate Cameron Dowd currently sits in P7. What can Rehard do to the line into P9? So both Red Bulls into the top 10. A decent start, but of course, lots of improvements to be made as they're both around 3/10 off pole at least.
Absolutely, one of the drivers that was waiting a little bit longer for everybody else to do those laps. Larry Tulke now takes to the track, but I think we have Tony Hitala who came out first. No, he didn't, so it is going to be Larry Tulke. The next wave of laps coming your way, and it will be their first time on the board. It's interesting to see Larry Tulke as well also could be contending higher up in the championship. Currently sits in P5 in that championship order, but you know, it's still a couple of rounds left. It's only round 7, we've still got 3 more to go after this, so anything can happen in those later rounds. Definitely,
and I think Larry Tulke's done a brilliant job so far this season. A little bit of an underdog going into this championship. I didn't know whereabouts he'd end up filing through, and I don't think many other people kind of knew whereabouts he would be in this field. But so far, he's done a really good job. His quali pace is up there, his race pace as well is near the top. But I've noticed in a couple of races, he kind of loses it on that last lap, and sometimes he'll drop 2 or 3 positions. And you know, it just shows if he could keep that confidence there just on that last lap, could be a lot higher than 5th in the standings. But he's now starting his first lap of the session. Behind him will be Tony Hirtala, currently in P19, but hasn't set a lap yet in this session. So we'll see what he can do. And as well, for a bit of confusion with some of the names in chat, sorry, in the lobby, JSD in the Aston Martin is going to be Ryan Grubb. Then Joe SD is Joel Marquardt, and Jay Marquardt is JSD, but they will change them afterwards, so we will it'll look a bit more simpler once we get our way into the race, because it is, isn't it, Corey? Sometimes so difficult to remember who's changed the name to what.
It is. It gets a bit confusing when you start calling it the wrong driver's name, and then later on down the line you realise that that is not the case when you talk about the standings next round, and you find out, say for example, Jay Marquardt has taken the win, but you see JST with the increasing points. So it sends a bit of confusion going around the table, and yeah, we'd like to know who is who, and we can get the racing going to everybody's full knowledge, to say the least.
Yes, certainly. As we do see here, Larry Tulke, he's just heading through into the final corner. We'll see what he can do on this latest lap. Of course, yet to set a lap in this session. Let's see what he can do here in the Haas. Heading up to the line will be a 1:19.5. Must have made a mistake somewhere on that one, as that is not representative in the slightest. As we do see there, John Marquardt jumping up into P6 there in the McLaren. Then the next one to cross the line will, I think, be Joe Van Bussel, currently down in P16 still, yet to set a time here in this qualifying session. But also, Corey, we've got some of those near the top as well, also beginning their second lap. So we'll have to see what they can do, as we have just over 10 minutes to go in this session. And Joe Van Bussel, a very nice lap there by the Williams, and goes up to P3, just a couple of positions behind his teammate.
JST jumping up to P8, just behind his teammate as well. So things are getting a little closer. Teams are starting to line up together. Could see some team tactics coming out in Monza. I expect to see a huge DRS train, and some drivers may be going for the elbows out manoeuvres with a bit more pace. That unknown strategy, like we say, the hard tyres are banned, so there is no going long. You'll go long on the mediums, but could you potentially pull out a 2-stopper in this and just push all the way through it, or extend those mediums to a 1-stop? It's a bit of, like I say, it's a wild card. It is an absolute wild card season, just to get us through to F1 at 25, where we go back all guns blazing. Zozo with a new pole position time, an 18.126, jumps just ahead of Luca Rapace. So could we see Zozo take a victory away from what has been a bit of a one-sided championship for Rapace?
Love to see what Zozo can do. Of course, there'll still be one more run to go. Luca did find an improvement and jumped up to P2. We saw as well, I think, let's have a bit of a look here. We've got Justin Aert, unfortunately, has had an invalidation. Sabrino jumping up into P3 there in the Mercedes. Alan Bida, I think he's just starting a lap and heading down towards turn 1. We do have Tamas Kokani here heading through the final corner. Let's see what the other Mercedes can do. His teammate in 3rd. Only 15th there, around half a second off that pole position spot. Then I don't know if anybody else is currently on a lap apart from Exavox, who's just heading down towards turn 1. We'll see what the Haas driver will do. And we have been informed as well that Danny will be joining mid-qualifying. He's just launched the game now, just set at the top of my screen, so he'll be with us very, very shortly.
Oh, nice to know that we will have that full grid. So it isn't just 19 drivers. You will see the full 20 take to the track here in Monza and bring us some mighty fine racing action. I'm excited to see what's to come. But for Fox now finishing that Sector 1. Is it a good Sector 1 though? Without a time on the board, it's not easy to compare the improvement. But coming through now, Lesmore, could it be? No, not to be. Stays within the white lines. We see some drivers have picked up that slight invalidation though. But coming out of the second part of it, does very, very well. Opens that rear wing flat to the floor once again, all the way up to my favourite part of the track, Ascari. You just got to send it round to the left, keep yourself corrected, and get your car straightened out as fast as possible, and rotate back through the final corners, and then back flat to the floor, all the way down towards Parabolica. Then we have that famous overtaking opportunity down into turn 1.
Yeah, I think the Parabolica, I don't think we'll see any of the overtaking there. But that is something we'll see quite commonly. Drivers running wide through that final corner. It's more than possible to do, as Exafox does go up to the line and sets a lap, but that was certainly off track. So I don't know if normally that lap would have stood. But we do have here Richard Sprogis currently in the Red Bull, just heading through in towards Lesmo 2. We'll see what he can do on this latest run. He's currently a tenth and a bit up on that first sector. And now just heading down to the end of sector number 2. He's up by half a second here. So looking to possibly jump himself into pole position here, Corey, as he just heads out of Ascari. As we do see there, I think it was Tony Hirtella there, jumping up into P8 in the Alpine. A very nice lap indeed, but Richard is on for a banger of a lap here.
Yeah, he is coming out of Parabolica now. Can he get the better exit line and get on the power as fast as possible? You just want to absolutely send it round there and not lose too much momentum, but it's not quite there. Lost a little bit of time coming out of sector 3 though. Was half a second up, like you say, almost half a second. Only came through at 3.5 tenths up in the end.
Yeah, indeed, and would have lost a lot in that third sector, because either way, you know, you're always kind of going to find an improvement on a new run, so he must have lost a lot of time there, Richards, and certainly not what he would have wanted. But I'm on board here with his teammate, Cameron Dowge, just heading through in towards the 2 Lesmos, now in sector number 2. Currently sits P13, certainly where I don't expect to see him. He should be, realistically, within that top 5 to top 8. So we'll see what he can do in this middle sector. Heading down towards Ascari at the chicane, he's up by 2.5 tenths of a second here, so he's looking to be around Leo London, Richard Sprogis, around P7, P8. But of course, still has one sector to go here on this lap, as we do see many more people beginning their runs. Both Diego and Luca starting another lap here in this session. Of course, looking to fight for pole position. Leo Lund goes up to the top with a 118.101. Can't quite break into the 18 zeros yet. And the Cameron Dowd there jumps up into P7, a 118.191. A very nice lap there from the Red Bull, as Gabo Chantos there has gone off at the final corner and luckily didn't hit the barriers, because when I looked at him, Corey, he was, well, facing them in the gravel.
He does get himself back into the pit lane, so if it was any form of like coming his way down, it was. He does not lose out too much time, can slap on that fresh rubber and go for that last final run. Justin Ayerts has retired in the pits from this. He's had enough of that one. He's not going to see any improvement, or he feels like he can't improve on that one.
Indeed, and what a lap there from Keaton Lowe up to the top. A 118.064 as Diego was down and also had an invalidation, but Luca Rapassa hasn't got an invalidation, so we'll see what he can do here in the Racing Bulls car now. Heading down towards a Parabolica. Of course, Diego can't take a lap this time, so we'll have to, of course, go again towards the end. But what can Rapassa do? Can he find just over a tenth of a second to get ahead of Keaton Lowe? No. Back into the pits. What about Sergio Sabrino? Currently P5 has an invalidation. Heading out to the second Lesmo, and that will end his qualifying run. And then I don't know if anybody now is on a representative lap apart from Danny Van Ruyten, DVR, just heading into Lesmo number 2. Let's see what he can do. And Danny, as well, is a driver, isn't he, Corey, that kind of is always at the top. But once he makes a mistake or maybe loses a few positions, he's also one of those that will just think, oh, I can't be bothered, and he'll throw it into the pits and retire. So we don't really get to see much of the prime Danny, do we, here in WR Tier 2?
No, I would love to see a Danny Van Rooten get pushed to the back of the field from some form of incident and claw his way back up to the top. That's what I'd like to see.
Sergio Perez.
Yes, absolutely. Is he is invalid though, but we do see Daniel Gottschalk on the track. Is he on a time lap? No, that's an invalid lap. So coming back to the pits, no doubt, everybody waiting for the best time possible to cross that line with but a second to go. So the track evolution will be at its finest, the grip levels at their highest, and they can get the best lap possible as well. Burn off all that fuel that they're not going to need.
It certainly will be a very interesting end to this session. And guys in the chat, please let us know who you think will be taking pole position in this one. Of course, yet again, like we've seen all season, random tracks were thrown into it right at the death. And of course, many drivers, of course, up there with pace, but others seeming to struggle. We can see there around a track which is relatively short. Our top 18 are separated by 0.6 of a second, and then Exafox a little bit further back. Not what we normally see, especially for a track where we're in the 118s. So it just showed, doesn't it? It does throw a bit of pressure into the drivers, knowing that they've got to find these improvements. But if you're one of those, then you may be P14, P15, and you haven't driven the track for a while in the game, you're kind of not going to know the best use for your best way of using your ERS. You're not going to know the best way to take some of the corners possibly. And you've got to kind of learn that in the session, and that is very difficult to do. I mean, the fact that some of these have got competitive lap times on the board are a surprise, because a lot of these drivers haven't driven this track, because I haven't seen it on PSGL, WOR for a while, which is safe to say. So the drivers are doing a really good job considering what they've been thrown into here.
Well, that just shows the talent, doesn't it? They're getting thrown into the track with no practice. We know the drivers like to practice, they like to prepare and get those setups crispy, clean and perfect. So when they come to the track, they can give the best performance, and they're just thrown into the deep end. They just got to pick a track, prepare for it off the calendar that we know and what we've seen so far. You can cross off the tracks you've already seen, and then there's a big pool to choose from on what could be next. And you've just got to hope that that will be the next round, so you've got some form of preparation.
Yeah, indeed, and we do see our first lap beginning, and it will be Leo Lund. He's currently just under half a tenth away from pole position. Sits in P2 at the moment, of course, was a championship contender for a while this season, but of course has dropped back off because of the consistency of Luca Rapassa over the course of the last 6 rounds, of course going into round 7, and Leo matching his first sector, so a very good sector 1, but of course needs to find time here in Sector 2 and Sector 3, and beating Keaton Luck is good, but there'll be drivers behind. There'll be Keaton as well, who will also be looking for improvements. So Leo needs to find a lot of time, and he's had a massive slide heading out to the second Lesmo here, Corey, and I'm not sure if that's going to be much of an improvement here for Leo as he heads into Ascari. He's down on his time. This lap is probably over now.
It is indeed. Leo Lund just having that big moment, that big slide. It just shows you how on the limit they are. That one mistake has cost him almost 0.2 of a second. But he is still going to push on and see that checkered flag. Who is that behind? Is that Zozo? It certainly is another driver who is contending for that pole position time. Just over half a tenth away, and he's coming down into the final turn of Sector 3. Coming around Parabolica now, you need to maintain that momentum. Don't put too much drag on the car and get that exit speed flat to the floor, all the way down to the line. Burn what little battery you have left, cross the line. It's an improvement, but it's not enough, and he just falls short of Leo Lund.
Indeed, and Keaton as well, not finding any improvement. Luca Rapassa's had an invalidation, so it's all down here possibly to Sergio Sobrino. Currently P5 in the Mercedes. He's up by just over a tenth in that middle sector. Of course, has got one more corner to go, the Parabolica, and we'll see what he can do. Gabriel Santos to the top. They're our first and only driver in the 17s at the moment. And let's see, can Luca fight back? No, he's had an invalidation. What about Sobrino in P6? I think he's the only one who can really try and take that pole position away. Down stays P9, and I didn't quite see what it was for Sobrino. And it's pole position.
Oh, what was the time? We need to see the lap time and give that a comparison there, but it was very... Oh! Wow! That's crazy. That's 1,000th of a second separating Sergio and Gabor, that is absolutely crazy stuff here in Monza. But Sergio taking Paul away. Gabor giving all he had, but was caught by a thousandth of a second where Keenan Lutt lines up third. Leo Lund, Zorzo, Rapassa, Jerry Van Bussel, J. Marquardt, who is JST, Cameron Dowds, and Tomas Kokene lining up the top 10. Riyad Sprogis, Joe Marquardt, Daniel Gottschalk, Tony Atala, Larry Tulke, Zalan Bieda, Justin Ertz, and I missed the final ending. But there is the end to your qualifying. I bring you back now to the commentator's booth where we have a nice little chat while we get through our lobby restart.
Yep, there we go. A very, very interesting start to this evening, of course. Sabrina on pole, Gabor Chontos in second place. Certainly going to be a very interesting affair, of course, for Pasadena in P5 at the moment. So has a bit of work to do, but certainly isn't going to be the hardest for him. And we're just going to quickly restart my game so we can get back in properly. But in terms of strategy here, Corey, do you reckon that they can go for a soft medium or a medium soft, or do you reckon that they'll need that extra pit stop to get to the end?
See, I've seen the extension they've done on mediums in an earlier track, but this is Monza. With how much you're on the throttle, the load on those tyres, it's going to be a stretch. You're going to be at puncture territory. And even then, are the softs going to last as well as you'd like them to? What are the tyre degradation levels on the soft compound here in Monza? Again, you're on that throttle so much, firing it around these corners as fast as you can. It's called the Temple of Speed for a reason. How's it going to fare in tyre degradation as we ban those hard tyres?
Yeah, certainly. And I think it's a bit annoying to have them banned for the drivers, but for us, it's brilliant. You know, we get to see a bit of a new dynamic and kind of see who else is, good at strategy, because it can be very easy going into a race knowing that you're going to go for a hard medium, and then it's just about getting that pit lap right, whether it's lap, I don't know, 13, 14 or 15 around a certain track. That's very easy to predict and very easy to get right. But with a strategy like this, where no one really knows what to do, there's no hards involved, so you've got to completely go to different tyres. That's where things get interesting, because then you're playing a bit of a luck game. You're going to try and maybe extend or maybe go for a risk and taking that second stop. And it's also about then knowing when to pit, because if you're going to go for a medium soft, for example, you want to make sure you don't go too late. So you actually can catch back up. But you don't want to go too early because your tyres might die at the end. So there's lots for the drivers to think about here, along with their engineers, who should hopefully have the data they need. But of course, some of the drivers here don't have engineers.
Absolutely, that's the thing. But where are you going to place yourself in terms of strategy? You've got to use your wits and your IQ about it. But before we go any further, I'm going to quickly hit us with a little word from our sponsors. Welcome back, and now we can have a little quick rundown of the standings for what you know could be the fight and make the difference in the championship. So you can see on your screen, Luca Rapassa currently leading out of what was round 6 in Qatar. 103 points, that 31 point advantage, holding strong so far. But could that prove to be the downfall here in Monza? It didn't get quite up there in qualifying. We see a bit of a change in the order as it is that, unknown season. He could have caught him out a little bit, not expecting to be here in Monza, but he was the race victor last time out, extending that championship lead. Leo Lund, a driver to be reckoned with, did qualify in P2 here today, so looking for potentially close down that gap. Can he convert that into a victory? Things are starting to spice up and get a little bit interesting. How do you feel, Nathan? Looking good? Nathan? Has something happened? I think I've lost the man.
There we go. Is it working?
It is. It's working now.
Perfect. Right. There we go. I don't know what did that. Very sorry, guys. But no, as I was saying, Luca Rapassa looks like he's kind of got things done and dusted early. Of course, he's had 3 wins. Has only been off the podium twice, and he's just really consistent. But with 4 rounds to go, Leo Lund's only 31 points back. Keaton Lutt's only 34. So just say today, Luca Rapassa was to have a DNF, Leo Lund was to win, or Keaton was to win. That would bring that gap really, really down and into the single digits. So there's a lot to fight for still here. But the question is, can anyone fight with that consistency of Luca?
Well, driver, I want to point out Diego Zorzo, somebody not to count out yet. I've seen what he can do in race pace scenarios. He has been non-pole sitter in qualifying around some tracks. He's certainly brought the pace to the top of the table, but I won't count him out yet as he sits himself in here tonight. He's quite far back, maybe looking to jump up to third, if not challenge Leo Lund, depending on Leo Lund first today. Again, we're hoping Rapassa, well, not hoping, but Leo Lund would be hoping that there's no points on the table for Rapassa and he can sort of close that gap down a little bit and end up with a final round fight, maybe on the cards, depending how the final couple of rounds go. Again, we don't know what tracks to come. We can't talk about it. We don't know if they're going to be quicker on that track, if they struggle with that track. We can't even give you the info to come. It's all a mystery, all unknown. Yeah. So I couldn't even say if Rapassa's going to be stronger in round 8 or 9, maybe even round 10, because we just don't know what's to come. It's truly up in the air.
The only person that knows is Luke. And he's certainly not going to give any giveaways away. So we're going to have to wait till the exact last minute before we load into a session, of course, what track it will be. So yeah, definitely going to be interesting with a few rounds to go. Of course, we've got here round 7, then of course 3 more rounds, 8, 9 and 10. And that's when things really come down to the death and when it really, really matters. Hopefully we haven't got too long to go before we can head our way into our race.
Well, we can just take a quick look at last results then. As we mentioned, Rapassa did take that victory, but Cameron Dowds taking a P2 podium there. So another driver not to count out. Like you said, you expect to see him top 8, top 5 in qualifying. He did take a P2 last round out.
Yeah, very good. I mean, of course, Cameron was on PC a while back, moved to PS. He said he wasn't, too bothered about going to esports and all that, so he just wanted to relax a bit. Went on to PS and then has kind of found his mojo back again, and he's moving back onto PC. Has been here only a couple of weeks, and already back up the top and showing he's got the pace to fight with those who are the stars of tomorrow. So yeah, certainly F125, the likes of Cameron Dowds, is going to be a very interesting game and interesting year. But then again, you can say that for all the drivers. We don't know what they're going to be like on the new game. I've tried it on the beta, and let's just say it's different. So we'll have to see what these drivers can do.
I've had no experience so far of it, so I've not done the beta testing or anything like that. I'm just going to be thrown into the deep end with the game. I'm just going to launch in that one day, jump on time trial, have a little quick feel of how the grit limits are and go from there. That's how I plan on testing F125. It's what I did with 24 as well. I just jumped on the game, dived in there and saw how things were going to be. And yeah,
then jumped back off it.
Yeah, jumped immediately straight back off it, especially that day 1 release handling model. Oh my word. And the first track, surprisingly, that I tried was Australia. And when I sent it around 9 and 10, no, thank you.
I mean, I tried the game. I was waiting all day. I even got up early so I could play it on release. I tried it. I thought, no.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
Not good. That release handling model was diabolical. It's improved slightly, I will give it that. Yeah. It certainly has made a massive improvement from that day 1 release, but we're looking forward to 25. I have high hopes, because 23 wasn't bad. It wasn't. 23 was really, really good. He just had a couple of on in-game bugs every now and again, but nothing major. 24 hit a bit of a downfall, but this is the way it seems to go. 21 was good, 22 was bad, 23 was good, 24 was bad. Is 25 going to be good?
Hopefully. But we have got the notification to say that the grid is ready, so we can head our way in very shortly to the race and see what's going to happen. And before we go in, Corey, any predictions from yourself of what could happen here?
So Leo Lund, I've got to call it now. With where he is in qualifying, I think he's going to try and control the race for most of it. Maybe try and get him P1 down into turn one. I'm putting it on Leo Lund for a potential victory here, but I can't count out Zorzo. So two drivers I definitely have my eye on, Lund and Zorzo. Two drivers I could see taking that P1 checkered flag.
Indeed, and well, they're ready enough. We've got 3 seconds to go till we head our way in, and we'll see what happens. Of course, going into this one, we have got the well, we haven't got, sorry, the hard tyres at all here, which means it's down to the soft and the mediums. They're going to go for that one stopper, of course, but some of them might risk it and try a two stopper, especially those further back down the field. Of course, those who are going maybe soft medium / medium soft might have to run a risk of a puncture, and that's where those who went for the two stop can try and bounce past them, because if you have a puncture, there's no way you're going to make it to the end. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Unless, of course, you have to go and waste another 30, 40 seconds getting back to the pit lane and going again. By that point, your race is done completely.
I have to agree on that. You're losing too much time, and especially with how fast these cars are going around this circuit, the tempo of speed. You are going to lose so much. Not many corners to get through, so they're not even slowing down. They're just going to absolutely gap you while you're trying to make your way back to the pits to swap those tyres. It is absolutely a disaster. But we now go trackside for what will be time for the tempo of speed. Oh, the drivers get themselves ready. Setups applied, fuel load set, strategies. Now, strategies, wild card. Nathan, what's your prediction for strategies? What are you expecting to see here now the hard tyres are thrown out of the window?
I've cheated, I've looked at the race director, and I've got to say, it looks interesting. We've got softs and mediums all throughout the field. And as I expected, some of those near the back are risking it. Loads near the back have gone softs. Most of them near the fronts have gone for mediums. And that's all I'm going to say. I don't want to give anything away too much to the engineers.
Oof, oof, oof. This race starts going to be crazy. Those soft runners on the brakes into turn one, whereas those mediums need to just brake that a little bit sooner. Oh, this is going to be interesting. We could see soft domination through the start of the race, but then, what would you say, lap 4, 5, but the lights are lit. It's 3, 4, 5 lights. The lights are ready, the drivers are ready, everybody is roaring to go, and it is go, go, go here in round 7 in Monza. It's a good getaway for Sergio. Gabor looking to try and capitalise on that, but so is Keenan Lott. Keenan Lott's off to a fantastic start. He's looking to try and make it side by side into turn 1, trying to get past Gabor. Can he get through? It's 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down the field. Look at the trainers, drivers trying to capitalise on those moves, looking for an inside-outside line, anything they can. I saw Rapassa trying to get on through though, but he's just not got it. Keaton Lott did secure that P2 away. Is Gabor looking for a late move to try and pull it back? He's not. He's forced into defence by Diego Zorzo. Zorzo looking for that P3. Gabor still trying to make it side by side. He sends it into Lesmo and takes that position away. Easy done. And going through into Lesmo too. Everybody sort of falling back in line and back into a train.
They certainly are. A very good start there from Diego Zorzo, jumping up into P3, and now Rapassa, of course, will be looking to get past the two medium runners of Leo and Gabor as soon as they can, as we head our way through Ascari. We've got Kokenyi making a move ahead of Gottschalk, and also we've got Zalambida making a move, and Danny Van Ruyten nearly into the barriers, and unfortunately will drop down to the rear of the field, and Zalambida as well, getting involved in something. But now I'm just keeping an eye on Luca Rapassa, who's got a really good run on the back of Leo London. Could look at sending it into turn number 1.
Oh, he's right there, looking for it. We see Keaton Lott move out to try and take control of this race. We see a move further back, pulls out the Alpina. Gabor, can he get on through? Not quite, but he's certainly looking to take that position back that was once his on Diego Zorzo. Zorzo just with a better line, the better grip, getting out of the first two corners, easily defends that position. So everybody tucks back in, they don't want to lose too much time. The DRS zones is where they're waiting to do it. And there goes Danny Van Ruyten. As we say, he goes to the back, and rather than try and pull a masterclass, I can't be bothered. He's retired.
I feel bad, I kind of called it there when he wasn't even in the session. So yeah, big shame there for Danny, who won't, of course, take any more part in this race. But I'm just keeping an eye on Cameron Dowd as he's looking to close in on Luca Rapassa, who's trying to close in on the back of Leo, but can't quite find a move. Has had to burn his battery all the way down to 20% on the end of the last lap. Has built it up over the course of that middle sector on lap 2. It just shows it's difficult to make moves, even on those that are on a harder compound of tyre. As we're heading our way down to the Parabolica once again to begin lap 3 of 27. And it's Kid and Lutz in the lead ahead of Sergio Sobrino. DRS will be enabled here as we head our way onto lap 3. And we can see there, Rapasa already burning the battery, looking to try and find a move ahead of Leo Lund, who's closing in on the back of Gamble Chontos in towards turn number 1. And let's see, are any moves being made? No, they are not. Everyone's sticking the file, unless there's something further behind, Corey.
A little bit further down the field, side by side. I think that was Richard Sprogis trying to make a move. I was trying to find the right camera angle. He is. He forced Tomas Korkin into a bit of a ghost in there. Korkin now looking for that outside line. The flashing lights are on. They've burnt that battery. But how much are they able to recharge in that second sector? We said it early on. They could be open to attack as they get through in towards Lesmore. Coming into Lesmore, that DRS is open for the drivers ahead. If you don't have the battery and they start burning, they'll pull away. They'll get that acceleration.
Certainly, and just watching here as well, Gabor has got some really good pace on those medium tyres, keeping up very comfortably with the likes of Diego, Sergio and Keaton. And then looking a little bit further back there, Cameron Dowds on the back of Luca Rapasa, also looking to try and fight and get ahead of Leo Lund, who's actually got a bit of a gap back to Gabor Chontos. But Luca Rapasa hasn't really got the facilities at the moment to make that move happen. As we head our way into the Parabolica, a little bit deep there by Luca. Could have given Dowds an opportunity, but isn't quite close enough. But as we head our way back down to turn 1 again, lap 4 of 27 is underway. DRS is open, battery is being burnt, and let's see what moves happen here. To the outside goes Zorzo, to the outside goes Rapasa, trying to get ahead of Leo Lund, has to go back to the inside. Could have been a Verstappen Hamilton-esque type move nearly, but Leo Lund still keeps that P5 spot. Sergio Sobrino still staying in P2, and despite so many opportunities coming up for these drivers, no one can seem to find an overtake here.
Oh, Rapasa is looking for any door possible. He's booting and banging on that door trying to make it open, just can't get through on Leo Lund. Your championship leader is currently struggling to get through on the driver who sits in P2 in those standings. It's going to be down to the wire. This is the rivalry we've been waiting to see. Leo Lund not giving him an inch, not letting him through, defending it with everything that he's got.
He certainly is. And then looking further back there, of course, Joe Marco and JSC, both of the mediums have dropped down positions, have dropped down quite a lot actually, and now sit near the back. Not going well for those two here at the start of this Grand Prix. But looking back at Dowds here, he's right at the back of Luca Rapasa here, heading into the final corner of the Parabolica. Has got a bit of a decent run, and Luca's lost time to Leo Lund here. And this could certainly provide an opportunity as we head our way back down to turn 1. Chontos as well also keeps gaining on the back of Diego, but gets right onto the gearbox, but can never find a move.
Ooh, further behind, Tomas Korkin going left, going right, looking for an open door, and Riyad Sprogis just didn't come as of yet. And Cameron Dowds did look, make himself large in the mirrors of Luca Rapasa, but there's just no way through yet. We see Tomas Korkin now looking to try and make a move on Riyad Sprogis. Has he secured that position? He certainly has. The Red Bull has had to fall back in line, and Korkin now sets sights on Jerry Van Bussel ahead. Ooh, Van Bussel a little bit slow there. Korkin really right up on that rear diffuser. As we're going into Lesmore, Van Bussel again with a moment coming into Lesmore. That rear end just slapping him left and right. He's struggling to keep it in a straight line.
Yeah, and he's also dropping quite quickly off the back of those ahead. Not going too well here for Jerry Van Bussel, as we do see Joel Marquardt make a move as well, jump up into P13 in McLaren. And Jerry has to go off the track, has to bail out of that one, and that will certainly cost him time. And looking further ahead there, I thought for a second that Chontos was going to look for a move into the final corner there, was right on the back of Diego Zorzo, and this time has a really good run out of the final corner. I think those soft tyres are starting to wear out now and brings the mediums into a bit more of a comfortable window as Gabor's looking to try and send a move. And we can see there Kid and Look could lose the lead ahead of Sergio Sobrino into turn 1. We go, and Diego's had to send it around the outside of Sobrino. Gabor's got a nice exit. Is it enough to try and shape up a move? Possibly in towards the De La Roggia chicane as we head our way round Curva Grande. Is there a move here for Chontos? He's closed in, but I don't know if he's going to go for that risk.
No, not quite yet. They've got to avoid it. They can't risk picking up that wing damage, especially around this circuit. It would damage them dramatically, and the time loss in the pits alone to replace that is crazy. Just further back, we saw McLaren almost get himself in a bit of a moment, that being Joel Marquardt, but he did manage to keep himself under control, falls back in line with everybody else. Just a bit of a DRS train now, from P1 all the way down to P17. You see Jerry Van Bussel did box in X of Fox, being 10 seconds behind him as well.
Indeed, as just watching here, Cameron Davis has dropped back a little bit from this train. I don't know if that's strategical or maybe just had a bit of a lack of pace on these past couple of laps, but he's a lot further away than those ahead are. As Luca Rapassa looking to send a move on Leo Lund into the Parabolica, side by side between the Racing Bull and the Ferrari. And Leo Lund still keeps it out in P5, and now Chontos is on the attack, looking to get ahead of Zorzo on lap 7. He's going to send it down to turn 1. Zorzo as well looking to make a move, possibly 3 wide here into turn number 1. And we can see there Sabrino taking it around the outside of the Williams of Keaton Lutz, and Sabrino takes the lead. Keaton Lutz has a bit of a poor exit, drops behind Zorzo temporarily, but Zorzo does try and get back ahead, does get ahead, and now Leo Lund is entering the scene trying to make a move. Gabel's gone to the right-hand side of Zorzo as well, nearly 3 wide in towards the chicane, and it's Leo Lund who emerges into P2, and Luca Rapassa as well making a send, trying to get ahead. Gabel Chontos in towards the De La Roggia chicane. He's going to have to hang it around the outside, can't quite do so, and Gabel hangs on to P5. But what a sequence of action there between our top 6, I should say.
Absolutely, this tells me pit stops are incoming. They're fighting for positions in the most unorthodox places. Any corner they can, any door that's open, they're sending it. Late breaks. Sergio Sabrino having to defend a little bit there against Zorzo once again. Still sits himself in P3. This could be the time for the pits. Everybody's trying to get ahead now, so they'll come out on the mediums and be in full control. Well, here we go, another move down into Parabolica. Oh, there's an outside line open for Gabor. Gabor's needing to defend against Rapassa though, but does manage to keep that P5. Nobody's going into the pit yet. They're just racing. They're just fighting. There's no pit stop coming yet.
Indeed, and here comes Cameron Davis, has made 1, has made 2, is possibly looking to make 3 moves in towards turn 1, has had to back out there and not send it on Diego, but goes for it anyway. Into turn 1, looking to possibly jump up into P4, was P7 a few seconds ago, and now is in the top 5 and looking to close down on those ahead. And we do see as well Tony Hietala as well has joined this battle, looking to also get ahead of Gabel Chontos, who has made a few mistakes on these past couple of laps. Of course, looked very strong a lap ago, and now is in P7 and actually dropping back a little bit more, as we do see Cameron Dowd making a send into Lesmo 1, looking to try and get ahead of Diego Zorzo. Hasn't quite got the momentum to carry it side by side, and drops back to P5 for now, but shows he's got the pace and he's eager to make these moves, and I don't think it'll be long before he's in the midst of that top 2.
Oh, this is getting interesting now. They're all scrapping it out here on lap 7 and lap 8. You saw the action all the way through. Everybody's tucking back into line now, looking to get the best move possible, coming down towards Parabolica. Gabor as well, fighting out with Cameron Dowd still side by side as we get to Parabolica. Will he get ahead just in time? It's not looking like it. Dowd is going for P4. He has that outside line. Can he get the optimum traction? Can he get the speed? There goes Zorzo into the pits, but now Cameron Dowd, he needs to defend against Gabor. Gabor's got the speed, Gabor's using the battery, but here comes Rapassa as well. Don't count him out from behind, using that DRS. Oh, slamming onto the brakes, he's still side by side, and he is going to have to get ahead of Cameron Dowd and also send it on Gabor as well, looking for that P4 position. Luca Rapassa's elbows out, absolutely. This could be the time for Rapassa to box. This is certainly the time.
Well, we do see as well, Joel Marquardt up into P7, has resurged through the field, and now he's in a really, really good position here. He's on the back of Cameron Dowd. I'm not sure where he and JSC have came from. They was near the back earlier on, I said. They was in P15 and P17, and now they're both in the top 10 and looking to launch an attack. Cameron Dowd has got to be wary here of Joel Marquardt in the McLaren, looking to make sense. Further ahead, we can see as well Sabrino looking to get ahead of Leo Lund. What's happened further back? I can see yellow flags. Is it, I think, the Ferrari there of Zalambida? Is it? Oh, he's going to puncture.
Zambeda's got a puncture?
Yeah, look at him. Heading out of Lesmo 2, he's got a puncture.
There's no way 9 laps is too many. What has happened there? He could have maybe hit some debris or something. Maybe somebody's got damage, but...
I think that scared a few of them there, Corey.
It has indeed. Everybody diving into the pits. Look at all those soft runners apart from Keaton Lutz, Sergio Sobrino, Justin Earts and Tomas Korkinen. They're all staying out.
They certainly are. And then we did see Leo Lund back up into the lead ahead of Keaton Lutz, and Sobrino and Lutz looking to play quite, well, dangerously considering what we've seen there from Zalambida with a puncture on lap 9 of 27. Couldn't even make it 10 laps on those tyres as we head our way through into the De La Rogier chicane now. And Gabo Chontos is all over the rear of Sergio Sobrino, but behind him are the two McLarens, Joel Marquardt and JSD. We know are very good friends, very good teammates, and we'll be looking to work together here to fight through some of these further ahead. Of course, Justin Ertz as well has dropped back from that 1 second gap to JSD, and I think that yellow flag is yet again for Zalambida. He's carrying it at about, what, 50 kilometres an hour. Aita Parabolica has also hit the barriers. There's got to be, hopefully, doesn't cause a safety car here, because that would certainly be rather interesting.
He's just limping back around, but we're on board with the front of the field, and as they come around the final Parabolica turn, they're going to see him going into that pit lane. Or are they? Has he just got there in time? I think they have, so he is well and truly out of the way. But in goes Keaton Lutz and Sobrino to get off those soft compounded tyres. Leo Lund on the mediums, 8/10 gap, almost brought the DRS there. Gabor starts to close up with it.
He certainly does, and that undercut proving powerful here, because Jerry Van Bussel is our net race leader. 1.6 seconds ahead of Larry Tolkien. Diego Zorzo is in net third as Richard Sprogge sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix at the moment. And here goes Diego Zorzo, flies past Larry Tolkien and jumps up into net P2 there. We do see as well Luca Rapassa looking to make a send on Richard Sprogge there in towards turn 1, looks for the up and under on the exit of the chicane, has got some more battery to use, has a better exit and pulls ahead of the Red Bull. And next will be the other Red Bull, Cameron Dowes, on the back of his teammates Richard Sprogge. So I'm not sure if there'll be much fighting here. I'm sure Cameron will be just looking to dispatch the Red Bull as soon as possible. It shows that Richard has pace, but with the way that Luca got past him so easily, I can't see it being that much of an issue here for Cameron.
Well, I'm interested to see if maybe we get some team orders between the Red Bulls. If Cameron Dowds can show that he's faster than Riyadh, are they going to fight for it, or are they going to do the old switcheroo?
Jerry Van Bussel cuts the Ascara chicane and takes a 3-second time penalty. Look at that gap already. It was 1.6 seconds this time last lap. It's now 6/10. He's lost a second on the last lap, and that just shows 3 lap older tyres. And he's dropped a second to Diego Zorzo here. And let's see what Diego and Larry can do. Larry's got a decent run down to turn 1. Has certainly got lower wings here than the Aston Martin, but isn't enough to be powerful to make a move. Diego, though, is closing in quickly. Will he look for a send? No, has to back off, but I think maybe a tenth further up the road and he would have been side by side there with the Williams. Yeah,
absolutely. It just shows how powerful the DRS is down that back straight as well. Don't forget Zorzo is on that fresher compounded tyre. Jerry Van Bussel running him a bit longer, trying to get that undercut, which did work very well. But just like that, Zorzo is right over and lurking on his rear diffuser for that position. He will take it, and it's just an inevitable fact. He has the grip. He can just use the tyre life that he has over Van Bussel as they start to degrade and decay.
Indeed, and Van Bussel very slow, heading out of Lesmo 2, and that allows Zorzo to get ahead. Larry Tolkien as well, looking to try and peek his nose through and possibly jump up another position. Joey's going to try and fight it, isn't it, on the outside? No, backs off. Rapassa's turn now to try and close down and make a move, but lots of time lost there for those down from Jerry Van Bussel after holding them all up through Sector 2. Gabo Chontos is in the lead ahead of Leo Lund. They still continue on with the 2 McLarens. Everybody else has made a pit stop here in this race. A bit of a slide there by Jerry Van Bussel. Allows Rapassa now to get a decent run down to turn 1. Will look to jump ahead and jump in towards net P3 here in this race as Sobrino takes the fastest lap. Here comes Rapassa to the outside of Van Bussel, who goes to the inside of Diego Zorzo, nearly 3 wide for a moment. Into turn 1, a rear lock there from Van Bussel. Allows Zorzo to go back ahead, and then Rapassa has got to pounce now and make that move.
He does indeed needs to capitalise on that mistake. You saw that Van Bussel was a little bit slower out of the corner. He's got the speed, he's got the pace, he sends it to the inside line. The door open for him, and Rapasa, he's straight on through with no mucking around. No DRS needed for that one, just a bit of the battery usage, bit of slipstream from Zozo ahead, and he's through. Easy done.
It certainly is, and now we can see there the lapped car of Zalambida getting involved with this battle and certainly causing a disruption for Richard Sprogis and Joe Van Bussel ahead, and of course should really be moving out the way with those blue flags, but seems to be content with staying in this train as we head in towards Ascari once again, and Dowd on the back of Richard Sprogis here, looking to make a move. Leo Lund is changing places with Gabor Chontos once again here as they begin another lap. And then we can see, of course, our leading train from those who have pitted is Larry Torquay, followed by Zorzo and then Rapasa with Van Bussel, Sprogis and Dowd all together looking to make moves. And let's see what happens down to turn one once again.
Well, it seems to be that Larry Tolkien may be a little bit safe there, like you say, just not close enough to go for any late moves. I pressed the wrong camera button as we go side by side. It looks like Jerry Van Bussel trying to defend against Cameron Dowds, but it's just inevitable with a tyre difference. Cameron Dowds gets on through, Riyad Sprogis looking to follow him. Can he make it there? No, not quite yet. Van Bussel and defended very well. Keelan Lott capitalised on that and pushed on through.
He did, but he was on the grass there, heading in towards the De La Rogier chicane. Van Bussel, despite being in a poor position with strategy and pace, is certainly not letting anyone make those moves so easily. And this is not good at all for Keelan Lott and those behind, because Van Bussel is holding them up horribly here through Sector 2. And now it's the turn for Richards to make a move. Then Sabrino as well will have to wait this time, but will hopefully make that move down towards turn number 1. Of course, Sabrino started on pole. The strategy hasn't gone to plan. He's now sitting rather far down the field, and actually it's going to make the move ahead of Van Bussel and possibly Sprogis as well into P10. Goes Sergio Sabrino, net P6 in this one. He's still got a few more places to make.
So that was beautifully done and executed, coming down towards Parabolica, just burn a bit of the battery, use that extra speed, take two cars who were using that straight to recharge a little bit before the battle ensued down into turn 1. And it's still Larry Toolkit, net P1, Zorzo just sitting, waiting, biding his time. Rapasa managing to get there, net P3. He's also waiting for that open door. They're just trying to control the race now, damage limitation, and endure it all the way to the final closing laps.
Indeed, as just looking there behind, Keelan Lott there, looking to possibly get ahead of Cameron Dowd, was really close to the back of the Red Bull, but not enough to try and launch a move up the inside at any point. As we did see there, Leo Lund jumping back into the lead ahead of Joel Marquardt, who I think made a slight mistake because Gabor Chontos is all on the rear of him as they head their way down towards Parabolica. Just keeping an eye on this battle for those in the net race leading positions. Rapasa all over the back of Zorzo, but just can't find a move, but give it, well, possibly down to turn 1 if you get this move here, because he's all over the back of Zorzo already.
He is, absolutely. Rapasa really putting the pace down, but he could be under attack from Cameron Dowds. Dowds is maybe looking for that open door. He's going to do a little bit of a late lunge. He's going to try for it, but look at that. There is also the car of Keelan Lott trying to get on through, trying to attack Rapasa, but Cameron Dowds straight through, no mucking about. Keelan Lott needs to defend against Sergio Sabrino. Sorry to cut you off there.
No, that's all right. I think I cut you off more than anything, Corey. I thought you shut up, but then as soon as I was speaking, you started speaking once again.
No, we're
but
all
oh my, all these contacts here on lap 16 and 27. And at this point, I think it's a bit of a look at the draw of who's going to take the win here, because everybody's constantly swapping positions.
It's up and down. I'm going to have it this lap, you can have it next lap. It's just exchanging DRS at this point, as that 16-second gap to the front four was 18 seconds, 2 seconds down on it already, but it's just not chipping away with all this scrapping and all this fighting.
Indeed, as we head our way in towards Lesmo 2, down towards Ascari once again. And Cameron Dowd is all over the rear of Rapasa, trying to close in and make a move. Sabrino as well on Larry Torquay. Is he going to go for a set? No, he's clever enough to back out there. And then, of course, Diego's also our net race leader. And he started to think here, when do our top 4 think about making a pit stop?
Well, they're now hitting that 10-lap limit where we saw some drivers able to push it. Zalambida, 9 laps was too many for him, just maybe burning those softs a little bit more than he would like to. He did have that moment, don't forget, coming into the first lap and might had to fight his way back through the field, but ultimately ended up with that puncture. I wonder what it's going to be like now. With a lighter car, the tyre load is not going to be as much, so 10 laps certainly could be within the range for the front 4 drivers. Oh, there's a big slow gridlock moment going into turn 1 there. That's Daniel Gottschalk getting into a moment, falling down the field. Oh, absolutely interlocking tyres going down into turn 1.
We have got a couple of requests in the chat where we're asking to see the tyres. Of course, at the moment it is all over the place. We've got loads of different lap tyres. We've got, of course, our top 4 who are yet to pit. And I'm sure if we ask Jonathan, of course, he will pop the tyres on the board for you all to see in the chat. And of course, you can see our top 4 yet to pit, all on 16-lap-old mediums. Everybody else between 6, 7, and 8-lap-old mediums. Of course, will be going to the end in this one as we have around 10 laps to go in this race, and I think the fact that the top 4 have gone 16 laps, we haven't got to worry about punctures here in this one. I think the soft medium is definitely a safe bet to go. But knowing that those on the softs only did 8 laps before, well, one of them got a puncture, makes you think that these here in the top 4 have got to leave it to what, maybe lap 20 before making a pit stop?
Yeah, it is possibly around that range, but I would say with that lighter car, they could go maybe 1 lap longer. They burnt off most of the fuel. They haven't started with a heavy bulky car like the other drivers did on those soft tyres, which does put a lot of stress on the tyres to say the least. But now with a lighter car, they are going quicker as well, don't forget. So I don't know. It could be there, but maybe lap 20 we will see that dive into the pits. Maybe potential undercut for any of those fighting in that front 4, because it's that gap has dropped again, 15.9 seconds. And then they're going to have to fight back through the field. They're going to have to fight back through this massive train that we've seen fight lap after lap.
Definitely. We did see there a brilliant move by Dowes to jump up into the net race lead here on lap 18 of 27. And then looking further behind, we've got Rapasa and Sabrino. Remember, Sabrino has got the newest tyres of all and will be flying with pace. Was in net P12 earlier on and now is in net P4. There's Rapasa looking for a dummy send onto Zorzo, but won't make that move at all. I definitely know he's not stupid enough to make a move there. So let's see what Sereno does here. And the pit stops for the top 4 are underway. JSC stays out, but Lund, Chontos and Marquardt are all into the pit lane. And let's see whereabouts they field out on their brand new soft tyres. Of course, soft to the end, bull push, and Cameron Dowd should pass them quite quickly. They're going to have to do a lot of work here. They should come out behind, I think, Justin Ertz possibly.
Yeah, seems like it. Just out behind Justin Ertz. So they've got a lot of work to do on those soft tyres, but with a 2 second gap there, 2.2 seconds they need to get before they're in DRS, which easy done. They've got a bit of clean air, they can gain that time, benefiting with those soft compounded tyre, providing they don't scrap too hard, because they have been fighting it out for the front positions before they went into the pit stops. But JST going that 1 lap longer. Sabrino is giving it a bit of a fight and a bit of a scrap for net P5. As we're still 1 position to move up yet, as JST is yet to make his pit stop. So Cameron Dowd's being net P1, everybody else move up 1 position.
Indeed, and yeah, we did see there Keith Lot, of course, getting ahead of Sabrino. He's on the same lap tyre. And of course, we'll be looking to push forward quickly and make some moves very quickly. You can see there on the back of Luca Rapasso was actually thinking about ascending to Ascari. It just shows how much confidence he's got. As of course, JST does head into the pit lane. And now it's time to see what those on the softs can do, because Leo Lund will it be close? No. Doesn't have DRS, was close to having it. We've got a safety car!
Oh!
Jerry Van Bussel has binned it!
Oh, they've all dived into the pits! Everybody except Cameron Dowd! Oh no!
I think Cameron was a bit too late, wasn't he, to go into the pits?
Oh,
JC
no.
comes out in P2, Leo Lund in 3rd.
That is crazy. That is crazy business. JST has just benefited in the most insane way possible. He went 1 lap longer on a risk and he got a safety car. This race has been absolutely insane. We had 1,000 separating P1 and P2 in qualifying, and now the luck of a lifetime for JST.
Zorzo has gone on to mediums, and so has Tamas Kokone. That is interesting.
We'll pull up the tyres so everybody can see what the crack is. Cameron Dowd's 10 laps on those mediums. Everybody else has boxed. Tamas Kokone, Zorzo have gone for mediums. But the drivers that did start softs will know that those softs can handle it. But I think Zorzo feels a bit more confident on that medium compounder tyre. He must do in order to go back to the mediums rather than going softs to the end.
Indeed, very, very interesting here by a couple of drivers on their strategies to the end. Of course, Dowd's staying out, and I think he should pit here because he'll come out ahead of Zorzo anyway. So he'll pit now and come out ahead of Diego Zorzo.
Not going to lose too much time, but he was fighting for net P1 of the race and was just a bit too far ahead as the safety car come out, and there it is.
It's going to be close. Zorzo's just heading down towards the braking zone now of Parabolica. He's onto the brakes. Where does Dowd come out in this? He's heading his way down the pit lane. It's going to be close. If Cameron Dowd gets out in P5, or if it'll be P13. And I think he's just about got it, hasn't he?
I think he has, yeah, he's out. He's back on the track. He's got a bit of a gap there to Zorzo, so 2 seconds and longer, and he would have been in that train.
If anything, Cameron staying out that extra lap has actually helped him out of all those, because none of those in the top 4 were there originally. But Zorzo, Sabrino, Rapasa, Lut, and all that were there already. And they've now dropped down a position behind Dave, so that's actually worked out for the Red Bull.
Well, certainly has, if you actually think about it there. He's up into P5. He can contend once again back for what would have been a race victory for Cameron Dowd, a driver who's certainly coming back with a bang. Like you say, he had that time off. He came back to console, come back to PC, and look at him now. Absolutely smashing it, coming back into Formula 1 sim racing with an absolute bang.
He certainly is. As, Justin Ertz has had a disconnection, not ideal for the Pick Sabre driver. But yeah, so a safety car won't be in this lap, I presume, because of Tamas and Ryan. So it should be in on lap 22, heading on to 23. So we'll have 4 laps of racing. And well, we'll see who will be the winner of round number 7. Of course, Rapasa, I don't think he's going to be getting a podium here tonight. It's going to be difficult because he is P8 at the moment.
Yeah, the safety car's really ruined what could have been a fight for the win towards the end against Cameron Dowd. But Cameron Dowd's looking in prime position for the victory. But currently JST's had a bit of a masterclass there in terms of strategy as the safety car come out, as he comes out of the pits. Absolutely insane stuff. So he's stayed out, kept that track position. Leo Lund, again, I said you couldn't count him out. Leo Lund, he's exactly where I expected him to be. I'll tell you who isn't. Zorzo. I expected Zorzo to be up there as well, but this safety car has thrown a proper spanner into the strategies that have been played out.
It certainly has. We do see Ryan Grobber back in the pits. Interesting there to go back in again. Brand new soft tyres, P16. I suppose there's not much to lose for him here. He's also got a penalty.
Could potentially looking to get the fresh tyres on. Fastest lap attempt taken away from those ahead.
Yeah, could definitely be the play. But looking further ahead here, I'm curious to see why Diego went for the mediums. Because you would have expected everybody to go for the softs. Just say there was maybe 12 laps to go to the end. Then going for the mediums wouldn't be the worst idea in the world because of those softs dropping off. But with it being just 7 laps to the end, softs seem like the way to go automatically. So I'll be curious to find out after why Zorzo goes that different tyre, because I can't see really being on the pace of those on the softs. I think he'll struggle.
Oh, this is certainly going to be an interesting fight. We do see Ryan Grob catch up to the back, and there is the call for the safety car to go in. So we will have 5 racing laps. So 5 laps to the end on everybody's on softs, all apart from Diego Zorzo. Maybe he just feels a little bit more confident, maybe, that this is the time for Zorzo to push on through as those soft tyres degrade fairly quickly. We saw less than 9 laps for Zalambieda before he picked up that puncher, but the track is slowed down. JST leading what could be the jump of a lifetime to bridge a gap before that DRS is active once again next lap.
Indeed, and haven't got long to go before we go underway again. Of course, on to lap 23, there'll be 4 laps of racing, and JST will lead us away ahead of Leo Lund in second place. Let's see what happens here. Of course, JST will leave it all the way to the line before putting his foot down and getting underway for the final couple of laps. When does he choose to go? And he has gone very, very late. And Leo Lund didn't get caught off guard, but hasn't gained anything. And there we can see moves already. Cameron Dowd's looking to make a move ahead of Joel Marquardt. Has got up the inside of the McLaren and has actually gotten to P4. And watching it earlier on, Joel Marquardt went too early, had to back off. And JSC went, and that's when when Cameron and Sergio got that big boost.
So this is working in JST's favour in a way. The driver's needing to back off. He left it a little bit weird, just side by side coming down. He left it right to the start-finish line. It's really trying to catch the drivers out on that one. But further back, we'll see about, oh, big squeeze there for Sobrino. That was crazy stuff. Joel Marquardt really getting the elbows out, almost pushing Sobrino onto the grass before we got to Lesmo. Brave racing indeed.
Well, I think Code Brown there was called for Sobrino, because that would have been a very scary moment heading into the first Lesmo. And just look at the pace difference here. Dowd's all over the rear of Gabor Chantos here. Leo Lund. Yellow flag further back. That's Keaton Lutt, who's dropped all the way down the field. Dowd's up into P3 now. He's got up the inside of Gabor. Let's see what happens here, as Leo Lund will be looking to try and defend that P2 spot. And Dowd's still up the inside of the Alpine. Let's see what happens here. Is side by side. DRS has been enabled on this lap. 3 laps to go here in this one, and Cameron is burning all of the battery. But I think has burnt it too early, because there goes Gabor Chantos trying to get ahead of Leo Lund.
Does manage to pull on through, just got the better acceleration though, but maybe Cameron Dowds has got an open door. He's certainly going to try and make one on Gabor, but it just closes and they all fall back in line. They can't risk any unnecessary contact here and now. They need to keep it clean, keep themselves collected, but just look at the gap as it starts to open up between some of these drivers. 9/10 from Kilkenny, and it's just going to get a bit treacherous now, but the R8 side of the points for Rapasa still not getting up the field. The championship leader is going to lose out on massive points here, as Leo Lund will creep that little bit closer in terms of championship if he finishes P2. Lund needs the victory now with Rapasa having such a bad race.
Yeah, he certainly does, and that will really help Leo Lund. It will bring that gap down to around 10 or 15 points. Of course, Gabor, Cameron, Dole, Sabrina are all looking to try and make moves themselves and get as high as they can, as Gabor is within a tenth there of Leo. I thought was looking for a cent, but no, backs off for now. Oh, and Cameron gets tap trained by Joel Marquardt into the final couple of corners, and Cameron Dage drops down to P9 after a tap from Joel. And certainly the Red Bull won't be happy there.
I've got to say, that was perfect, because Rapasa's up into P4. Oh, Leo Lund is going to be devastated. The points gap has just gotten a little bit smaller for what he can take out of Rapasa's lead, as Rapasa now sets sights on Gabor for what could be a final 2 2.2 of a lap of fighting for Rapasa to get back up to Leo Lund.
Indeed, but you can see there, just pushing on Bobby Gabor, he's not scared to make moves himself. He's got a lot of pace here in that Alpine car. Looks considerably more than Leo Lund. As we head our way into the second Lesmo. Down towards Ascari once again, and Luca Rapasa is also on the rear of Gabor Chantos, looking to make a move himself. And then watching further back, Sabrino, of course, was on pole position at the start of this one, sits in P7. And I'll be honest, Diego Sorzo actually played this quite well, because those mediums wasn't as bad as I thought they would be.
No, he's managed to get them fired up into that working window beautifully, and he's really sending them going full push to stay with those soft runners. But we're just unknown on how quick the drop-off is on the softs. We know how quick it can you can get a puncher for the likes of Bieda, for example, and everybody else got a little bit scared. Lap 9 dived off of those soft compound tyres, so they were truly playing with fire when they crossed the line to start lap 9. So it just goes to show where is the drop-off for these soft tyres. Does Zozo have it on the last lap to try and maximise the traction and pull on through as everybody slows down a little? But look at him there.
Well.
He's certainly going for a move on Rapasso. Ask and you shall receive as he goes to that outside line. Is it the grip advantage? Is the drop-off starting to come? He is going to pull ahead and he's looking for another move on Larry Tolke. I don't believe it. The grip advantage is crazy, but he's sent and slammed on the door, sent further back, and he's losing more positions. He certainly had the grip, certainly had the minerals to send it through those turns, but just couldn't get on through, and he ended up with contact with Tolke.
Certainly did. Lots of contacts there between a lot of drivers heading in towards the De La Rosière chicane. But of course, as we head into Ascari for the penultimate time, it's JSD with the advantage, but DRS will be enabled for Leo Lund to easily, I think, make that move and jump up into P1. And let's see what happens here as we begin the final lap very shortly. And we'll see who will be on the podium. And at the moment, Gabriel and Leo could be fighting very hard to try and get ahead of JSD. Let's see what happens here. Lap 27 and 27, and JSD leads the way.
Absolutely, but that rear wing door is open for Leo Lund. He's now the time to make the move. He's going to look for it. Goes to that inside line, coming down harsh on the brakes. Sends it into turn 1, swings it back around turn 2. And that move is done, dusted and guaranteed. But is JST prepared to try and fight it back? Can he try and retake that position? Or will he get lined up ready for the exit of Lesmore 2, where he will be aided with the DRS? Is it for now? Is it for here and now? No, it's not, as he comes down to the De La Rosière chicane. Not to come as of yet, and now we go down to Lesmore. This is where the overtake may come. He goes down to that detection point, picking up that DRS. And can JST make the move, retake that P1 after what would have been a tremendous stroke of luck? Leo Lund moving to try and break that toe, break that slipstream. And on to you, Nathan. Take us away for this final battle.
Well, into Ascari we go, and JSC didn't send the move, was looking to send it, but has actually lost time as well in the course of Ascari, and has dropped quite a lot of time now and has given Leo Lund even more of an advantage. Gabel Chontos as well, looking to gain in onto the back of JSD, but hasn't got enough. Can Jay do anything? Heading into the Parabolica to try and get ahead of Leo Lund. He's close, but not close enough, and what a race we have had here around the circuit of speed. It's Leo Lund that takes the win ahead of JSD, and Larry Tolke just about jumping ahead of Gabel Chontos to take third in the Haas. A brilliant result there for Larry Tolke, and well, that top three there, if you asked me this 27 laps ago, I certainly wouldn't have came up with that.
Wow, big mix in the order, but Leo Lund doing exactly what he needed to do to try and get a little bit closer to the current championship leader, Luca Rapasso, who only managed to get a P5 finish when all hope was lost for Rapasso. Looking at the back end of the points, he got a little bit lucky with that contact with Cameron Dowds and got up to P4, but ultimately finished P5 as Larry Tolke fights on through with Gabor to the final finishing top 5 positions. We'll get a final classification on your screen for you now. You can see exactly who finished where and what we expect to see going into round 8 next week, which we still don't know what the track is. We can't tell you. We'd like to, but it's not going to happen.
No, we will not know at all, and it was Leo Lund who took the win ahead of JSD. Larry Tolke in third, Gabel Chontos P4, and then Luca Rapassa, our championship leader, in P5. And then we had our pole sitter in P6, Sergio Sabrino, followed by Diego Zorzo, Cameron Dades, Daniel Gottschalk, and Joel Marquardt. And then we had Tamas Kokani, Keaton Lutt, Tony Hitala, Rihans Boggis, Ryan Grob, Justin Etz, and Zalan Bida. And then, of course, we did lose Jerry, Exafox, and Danny during the course of that one. But there we go. A very, very interesting race there, Corey. Lots of action. Expected around Monza, but I didn't quite expect it to be this chaotic, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, we saw the contacts, the wheel banging, the hard aggressive moves. There was plenty of racing action to go. Some very aggressive moves. Lap 7, lap 8 comes to mind. The drivers really sending it out and giving it their all. And wow, what a win for Leo Lund, to say the least. He's just been thrown into the deep end, like we said. Nobody knows the track. They just get told it. They get expected to show up and race it without any prior practice or knowledge. They just throw on a setup, which hopefully they have already had prepared and ready to go. And away they go for however many laps of that circuit. It just gets interesting. It gets crazy. We'll take us to the interview room to see if anybody would like to come for a quick chat.
Yes, we'll have a look. I don't think there's anyone in there just yet. But brilliant race. Really enjoyed that one. Of course, I'm going to look at the calendar. I want to see what tracks are remaining to be chosen. So we got, I forgot which ones we've had and which ones we haven't had. Do you know any off the top of your head that we can still have here, Corey, with
Um,
3 rounds to
I'm
go?
just going to pull up the calendar myself and I'll tell you what we may be able to see. So, we've had Morocco, we've had Qatar, I think we've had Mexico, I think we've had Saudi Arabia. So, it wouldn't surprise me to maybe see
Australia, maybe?
Singapore, there, Australia. I think we've had China. I think China, we've had one of the rounds.
Italy.
Canada. Italy, we've just had Monza.
Uh,
Imola, I've not seen. I don't think I've seen Imola. So again, could be Imola, Singapore. We could see Canada. We could see maybe Miami. I don't think I've seen Miami yet. Spain as well. Don't count that out. Barcelona, maybe. Catalonia circuit could come later down the line. So we have still. It's a big pool. It hasn't just been. Here's 10 tracks and it's randomized. It is a track pool of I think 16, maybe 18 tracks. A big pool of we can select from and get through. So I think
yeah.
16 in total, the tracks. So 10 rounds, 6 tracks you will not see, and 10 you certainly will out of the 16. But anybody in for the interviews? Still don't see
Um,
anybody yet?
well, we have Leo London, the VC, with us, Corey. I dragged him
Oh,
in
we
when he
do.
was talking. So, Leo Lund, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Hello.
Perfect. So really good race there from yourself, of course, P1 in the end. Of course, like we have all this season, mystery tracks, every round something new. What were your expectations once you saw Monza pop up on your screen?
I mean, quite high, but not that high because it's so long ago I did this track. But I managed to bottle pole in the quali and I won it in the race, so I'm quite happy.
Of course, and you took that medium soft strategy. Of course, only 4 of you did that, and you did pit on lap 17, but of course the safety car came out. Do you reckon that if that safety car didn't come out, do you reckon you would have been up at the top there?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. The soft was so much quicker.
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
I was like my out lap. I was catching 1.5 seconds only that lap.
Of course, and with Luca
But
Rapace as well finishing P5, that brings that championship gap now to around 16 points. So with 3 rounds to go, do you reckon that you can still beat Luca?
yeah, with some luck, yeah.
Well, good to hear. Good to hear. Well, that's all from me. Congratulations on the victory. Anything from you, Corey?
Yeah, just something that I want to ask the drivers at the end of every race, just to understand a little bit better about this wildcard hards band. How was the softs tyres degradation? We did see Zalambiera pick up some form of puncture. Now we didn't see it on the stream, so we can only suggest that it was down to tyre wear, rather than it being a driver contact. But how was the softs faring in that first stint? What was the tyre degradation like, especially when you tried to go long on the mediums, but ultimately it was challenged with a safety car?
Like, do you want to know the tire wear?
Yeah, like how was it? How were the tyre wear in that first stint on the
It was
softs?
like 7 or 8% a lap, I think. So it was quite much, but you had to manage them a little bit. So you were not like over pushing and overeating and stuff, and they will just get worse.
Just in a first stint tyre management mode, trying to make the softs go as long as possible, then mediums to the end.
I did not do that many laps on the soft, so
Well, oh, well, did you start mediums?
yeah.
Oh well, how were the mediums? How were the mediums then? Let's say that. How was that
Oh,
going long? How was it? How was the tyre
they were
day?
fine. We just had to save the tires very much, so the undercut will barely work. I think it was like 2.5 a lap, so it was quite good. But yeah, we could not see the strat how it was because of the safety car, but I think it will be good.
Yeah, it's just something I want to understand. Obviously, the hards are banned, so if any driver would like to go long on those compounds, you can't use them. So I want to know on each track as we go through this unknown season, how are the tyres faring, and is it causing a bit of a pressure on the drivers? But seems you handled yourself well, and it's a congratulations on the victory, my friend.
Thanks.
I think we're done, Nathan. That is all for now. Nobody else lining up for an interview. And then, yeah, on to next week, which we may see the return of Sappy. Obviously, had some unfortunate news and didn't manage to make it tonight. It's take all the time he needs to deal with the situation. But Nathan, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always to have you in the booth with us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I think this is my third appearance this season, so of course it would be great to be back again before the end of the season because so far it's been brilliant, action-packed all the way through. So of course we've got to see what these final rounds have in store for us. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it here tonight. Thank you.
Absolutely, and of course with the championship starting to spice up a little bit, get yourselves here for next week because it's certainly going to go down for round number 8. So we're getting to the final few rounds. You don't want to miss it. For now, that is all. See you next week.